I just pulled over.
Hi, and hello, everybody. I'm Darla Williams with the Art of Learning Self-Love, and I am here today to talk about, with everyone here, how to begin letting go. So I want to talk about letting go happens to be in a lot of different areas of our life. Sometimes it's letting go of the emotional stuff that we've had to go through, and we're carrying all this stuff everywhere. We got like this bag, behind us that we keep throwing all of our stuff in and going, oh yeah, let me just pick this up and keep carting it around. Sometimes it's letting go of those in our life that we love, but we're not receiving what we need. Sometimes it's the loss of those that we can't bring back. So when we have to let go, sometimes it hurts really deep and we don't know the process. And how do we even begin? Letting go of an idea that keeps us locked in. Letting go of any area that may not be serving our highest good. When we get into a vibrational story, no matter what that story is, even if it's from the evidence of things that have happened, we're continuing to be the creator of that story. One of my biggest revelations happened to me last night. As much as I want my son to be free from the circumstances that are going on with him, I can't sit here in the balance holding even the hope for his better good, because he has to choose it for himself. And how, as a parent, do we let go of the control that we have because we have been the nurturers and the protectors and the guidance plan for a little one until they become grown? How do we let go and allow them to be soul sovereign? I had to learn something last night, that even though I felt I had no responsibilities at this point because I'd done all the possible therapies you could possibly go through, I have a son who struggles with suicidal ideation. And I face a lot of consequences from his actions that he goes through, and I have to walk with him in a hard journey. But I learned one of the biggest lessons that I could do for him is I could burn out the germ, the seed, and release him and allow him the privilege to begin his start of his own timeline without me. Because he is free to be his own individual. He's free to be unique. He's free to be himself. And I don't have to take any ownership of any of the decisions that he makes. As hard as it is, and this is a real rough, real fresh situation. The last couple months has been very hard, and I haven't talked to anybody because I've been processing and using the stuff that I use with everybody in my coaching sessions to see how well it really works. Because sometimes I got to use it on myself as well. Because we are always changing and ever learning the new layer of who we are. And I want everyone to know that just as vulnerable as you guys are, when you come to me and share your world, I need to be just as vulnerable with you so that you guys can feel safe and know that you really do have a safe landing place. And for that to happen, it requires me to share sometimes too. Sometimes, as much as the group needs me, sometimes I need my group. And humbling myself to that and realizing I have such an amazing team of people that I can turn to at any given moment in Noble Goldman. I have been so richly blessed because I could reach out to someone who once was in here, which was Ruth Elizabeth, And she still represents this company as much as she did as she was here. She's absolutely an amazing soul that can lead anyone to their own understandings of who they truly are. The star seeds that we truly are, just the beautiful souls that we are shining bright in that sky, being exactly who we're meant to be. And she has a perfect plan to show you the way, just like I know how to show everyone the way to loving themselves. We all have our own unique things that we do. And today, after my session yesterday, because even though I coach people, I still go to coaches too, because we're an ever changing project within ourselves. I actually learned a lot yesterday that truly letting go, and I share such a great illustration of it, and I thought I had done all the work, but it was still coming back. It was still a reflection. I was still hearing the same words. It was coming back over and over, and it was happening rapidly, and it was going in a way that I was becoming devastated by the words I was hearing, the things I was seeing, the information that kept coming, because my son went on a hard trek the last few months, back into the streets, into jail, into the mental health facility, back and forth, out back into the street. He went back to the hospital 2 days ago. I mean, it has been full of drugs, without drugs. I'm doing this. I'm going to go serve God. I'm going to be a woman. I don't know what I'm going to be. Like, literally, this has been the last 3 weeks of my life with my son. And I'm not kidding when I say that. I mean, those are real conversations, every single one of them, just the topic of the conversations. And when you have that, I was harboring. What I realized last night is I help people every day. But the one person I want to help the most won't choose to help himself. And every single one of you, I want to honor you guys because you're here, because you're showing up for you. Truly coming to the core of yourself. And you're showing up. So I want to honor that and tell you guys how beautiful it is. Because you guys are really showing up and you're doing the work, and it's not easy. So you guys need to celebrate yourself and take a moment and really look at yourself and say, I'm doing this because I know the journeys you guys are on. How do we let go? We realize that we are giving them permission to finally be whole and complete. Because Source, only God, allows for us to be whole and complete and perfect from the beginnings of the foundations of the earth. So if that's who we are and we're whole and complete from the foundations of the earth, all I can do is hand him back to Source and say, thank you for the privilege of having the opportunity to raise him, to be there, to guide him and give him the knowledge that he does have. Whether or not he chooses is not my place. As hard as it is as a mom, we carried our children in our womb. We carry our children in our hands. We pick them up when they've fallen. We show them the way how to do things. So how do we let go once we've had so much part in their life? How do we not do it to give them the permission to be all that they're meant to be and set them free and know that you've done your part and that all other decisions now reside in their place, in their space. And it's acceptable for them to make any decision for themselves. I cannot expect my son to be what I want him to be. I have to expect that he needs to be his own person. I want to be my own person. Why wouldn't I allow him that opportunity? And that's what I was really letting go. That was the one piece I was holding and harboring and keeping safe because I wanted to protect him. I wanted to love him and I wanted to nourish him and give him all that was his, that was rightfully his. But I've given it all. I've laid it all before him. He has the directions. He has the perfect print for himself. He just has to choose to pick it up. And that's his choice. I can't make it for him. And that was how I was able to finally understand it was perfectly acceptable for me to let him go. Because I really did do the work. I did do what was necessary. I have no place there in my understanding of who I am that I didn't fail him. I don't have any measured bar to hold it up against and say, hey, we all make mistakes along the way. Did we right those wrongs? Did we provide the resources to restore those broken spaces? Did we do the work on our end to make sure that that could be recovered? Have we done all the things that we can do? And when I sat down and I asked every question, everyone was checked off with a yes. And if I've done my part, it's okay. And it can settle in my soul, very soul, and know that it's perfectly acceptable to let someone go so that they can live their best life, even if it doesn't make sense to you. Even if their best life is the polar opposite of yours. We look in a mirror, what happens? The reflection is generally the complete opposite of what we are. I came to the understanding my son is the complete opposite of me. And that's perfectly acceptable for him. Though I don't understand it, it's not my right to try to figure it out. That's his business. And all I can do is be here and listen and continue to hold the love for him and allow him to be watered, nurtured, and grown in whatever field he chooses.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Um, do do you feel like you take the time to really get to know your son for who he is?
Yes. I allow him to completely open up and be himself 100%. And I'm willing to walk his process wherever he goes. From
Yeah.
one extreme to the other that he does flip through, I do allow him that open space to be exactly who he wants to be. And I support him in any decision he decides.
Yeah.
And it's hard because sometimes the decisions he's deciding, I'm like, well, that is the choice that you're making. I don't understand it, but
It
if
was just
it's
something
making
that
you happy, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
sorry, it was just something that you had said about, like he was the opposite of you. And it reminded me of like my mom in
Mhm.
that I always felt like she had this idea, this version of me that she aspired me to be. And I could never, because I'm not that. And so for me, I always, like, I had this realization the other day, actually kind of had this realization after we talked yesterday. Because, one of the things that we've been talking about is how, like, alone in that, just alone dealing with all those emotions and stuff. And I was thinking, with that being said, my mom, I've never felt like my mom or anybody had ever really, but then I was also thinking about how we as people don't really take the time to really like know the person that we're saying we love from, because it's impossible to be in them, but like one of the things I always think is like, people don't know me, like people don't take the time to really get to know my heart, to see like who I am, right? Who I want to be, who I want to lead with. And it always like leaves me feeling disappointed, because I feel like when I look at people, I try to see the essence of, who they are. But I was thinking just how sad it is in life, because we're all going around feeling like, we're not heard or seen or felt, and like we don't listen, to like really hear, what is this person really saying? What are they really saying by the words that are coming out of their mouth, And we just jump to defense so quickly and take everything internally and so personally, instead of like really listening to like what that person is actually trying to say. And then that hurt just keeps going back and forth, I don't know. Just wanted to add my 2 cents.
Hey, no, I actually really listened to what you were saying. What you're saying is that you heard in what my story is between me and my son,
Yeah.
heard you and your mom. So your
Not
question in that,
not that I think that you're that
no,
way. I was just curious if, you know.
no, I didn't take any offense. I didn't think that there was anything negative. What I'm hearing though is that you have such a dynamic difference between yourself and your mother, and you heard the dynamic difference between myself and my son, and you had a moment of revelation there. Does my mom feel the way that she does? Because I'm hearing her words. Maybe there was a trigger that happened that actually allowed you to begin changing the thought process. That's
Yeah.
what just happened for you.
Well, I
Because
had this moment, like, I want to say probably like last summer. Like, so I mean, I know y'all don't know, but like, I had 11 miscarriages before my son. So like, he's such a gift to me, right? And I desperately want to get it right, And I know like there's no, guarantees that I won't screw this kid royally up, which is why it's so important for me to heal, because I don't want to project my fears and insecurities. Like, I want him to fly. I want him to experience all that the world has to offer, whatever his heart desires, whatever dreams. Like, I don't want him to fear those mountains in the distance, Like that song. I remember that song when it came out, and I had asked my mom like if she wanted that for her daughters, and she was like, "No." And I was like, "Ew, why not?" I was mad when she said that. Like, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. That's what this life is. It's a beautiful dance. And we're all like have these masks on, and we're not leading with the right person, right? Like, who are you? I get to say who I am. But I had this moment where I was, it's hard for me because, I was molested, and, I'm so responsible for this kid. And I have a really hard time with that because of that, like, I don't want that to come back on me. And I don't want that hate, like, oh, I hate you. You were a horrible mom. Like, I don't want to hear that. I don't ever want that to be. And so I was like, God, I'm like almost terrified to let my little boy out of my sight, And last year, I was like, God, I need help. Like, I don't know how I'm gonna get a job. Like, I was freaking out, like spinning out of control. And he was like, and he showed me free will. He showed me free will. And he was like, what did you want when you were a kid? Like, I wanted to be heard and seen and valued. And I wanted my dreams and ideas and my thoughts to be acknowledged.
and
That's all I
so
wanted.
you give that your son that because you knew you needed that. And
Yeah.
that is the evolution of every generation. What we learn from our upbringing, we generally turn to begin giving what we lacked the most. That is the first and foremost thing that any human being is going to do. They're going to immediately give all of them into the areas that they were lacking. because they want everyone to have what they didn't have, because they know how important that is. So your son is very blessed. You had to learn the lessons because you were setting up and being that person that's going to stand up and rise up and change the dynamics of the lifeline that has come down from the generations. And you're going to be the one that rises to set a different trajectory for the futures to come.
Yeah.
You rose up in yourself and decided you want it to be where it stopped.
Yeah.
And that is a powerful thing that you're doing for yourself, all the generations before, but the ones in the future. When you decide to rise into that position, it is not an easy journey. It is one of the most excruciating journeys of a lifetime. But you know what? You're really setting forth the change. And that's why you feel it. But you were called to this very moment for that very purpose, for all the generations in your life. So carry it with honor, because you're changing the future. You don't have to beat yourself up over it. You can praise yourself because you found a victory for your family. Dr. Kim, you look like you have so much wisdom to share in this space, because I know your heart is like mine.
I'd like to address both of you. And Melissa, I know you're here listening. So I'm present to so much. I'm present to wisdom, Kathy and Darla. I'm present to resilience, each of your resilience. I'm present to your strength. I'm present to your love. Kathy, that you went through 11 miscarriages and now have your son tells me that you have the strength for anything in life. Really, anything. There's nothing that can happen that you are not going to be able to handle. So in many, many ways, there's nothing to fear. So I want to reflect that back to you and how blessed your son is for you to be his mother. And Darla, how blessed your son is for you to be his mother. And in so many ways, Darla, while you see him as the opposite of you, I see him so much like you. He too is strong. He too is resilient. He too is courageous to be willing to live his life outside the box. Takes enormous courage to grapple with the questions he's grappling with, including whether to live or die, be male or female, takes enormous, enormous courage. He is the very best of you. And he's so fortunate to have a mom who's willing to let him go. Not to banish him, but to set him free so that he can truly find himself, knowing your love for him is unconditional. And I know that it is. And he will discover all of that for himself. The soul of life is whispering in his ear and taking him where he needs to go to experience what he needs to experience in this lifetime. So just as I said to Kathy, have no fear. Have no fear, Darla.
I know, it's freedom.
Isn't it
It's
freedom for
so,
you and for him?
it is. It's liberating. That was like
Yeah.
the most liberating moment last night, is coming to that understanding that holding any space of that, being the creator of worlds that we are, because that is who God made us to be. He deposited that into us to be creators. So because he deposited that into us, anytime I entertained his lack, anytime I entertained his pain, anytime I sat in the balance of holding space for him in those moments, because I wasn't letting him go to learn, I was literally helping him create that space. And that's not what any of us want, including himself. And he doesn't know how to get out of there. And the best thing I can do for him is let him go so he can learn how. And that is the biggest. I wrote the thing about letting go a couple weeks ago, and I had no idea, and it didn't come up. I couldn't do my class last week. I couldn't do my class the week before. I had all these interjections, and I was like, I'm in the process of letting these things go. I wasn't finished. It's funny how everything sort of jumbles up and gets in the way. Everything has a precise moment. Everything has a perfect plan. All things work together for our good. And had I delivered it before I had the real revelation, I wouldn't have been doing myself or any of us any service. So it had to wait, because I had to come through something first so that I could really, truly deliver the importance of letting go. Why is it important? Because we're truly setting ourselves free, as well as the other individual, to truly become soul sovereign, to govern ourselves. That's all we have the right to govern. You know what I mean? Not ours anywhere else.
Darla, I have a twist on this.
Let's go.
Ready for the twist?
I am.
So where this conversation is taking me, because I did not birth children, is can I set myself free? Can I let go of all that I have held myself to? Can I let go of the standards? Can I let go of the shoulds? Can I even let go of my dreams? Knowing that life may even have something more delicious in store for me than what I have designed for myself. Can I really, really, really set myself free? That's the gift of this conversation for me. And it's not easy, I'm thinking, because I hold myself to incredibly high standards. And I want to always, always, always be loving, and always, always be creating, and always, always say the right thing and do the right thing and all of that. But can I just give myself freedom to be human? To, as I often say, navigate all 88 keys on the piano keyboard,
Yes.
not just the ones I'm comfortable with, the ones at the end that are dark and, feel treacherous, and the high-pitched ones at the very end that might spark joy. Can I give myself real freedom? So thank you for this conversation, because while I will reflect on, are there people and things I need to let go of, I'm really going to dig in deep to this about how can I set myself even more free.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. I mean, it's really a gift. It's a gift to ourselves, but it's also the gift to others, because now no one is being held in a balance. No one's being expected of. No one's being condemned or no one's being hurt because of, there's truly zero consequences anymore. Truly. How do we see it? How am I doing this to myself? How am I doing this to others? And how am I doing this to my very soul? Every time I listened to the words of what he was saying and I was fearful of what he was going to go do, I was holding in the balance the possibility of having to face that. And when I truly let him go, I gave him the right to find a different way. Because now I'm not holding that thought. And I'm holding the very essence of the truth. And what is the truth? We're whole and complete and made perfect from the foundations of creation. So he has the right now to find his direction, to live out that story. And that's what I can hold for him now, that he has that right. And it's just a matter of time before he stumbles into his own understanding. And it's a beautiful gift the day it happens, because I get to celebrate with them, because I know, because I did all the work here. Because then it'll reflect there. Love does begin within. And it doesn't matter what we love, if it's our children, if it's a spouse, it's of our friends, if it's our family, if it's our pets, if it's life itself and the journey in ourself. No matter what storyline, we put love as the foundation, all things work together for everyone's good.
I mentioned that I'm soon going to be attending a wedding. And I'm present this morning with this conversation to my own marriage in 1988 to a wonderful man named Vince. And I'm present to all the hopes and dreams I had for that marriage that for the most part did not come to fruition. And I'm present to all the pictures I have of how I thought he would be, most of which did not come to fruition. And I'm present to what I thought I would be as a wife, who and what I needed to be as a wife. And almost none of that came to fruition either. And we stuck it out for 28 years. And then we set each other free. And I'm present to what Kathy said earlier. In those 28 years, did I really take the time and the opportunity to get to know the man that he was? I actually did not. Did I take the time and opportunity to get to know who I was in the context of that marriage and who I was as I was growing and evolving? And maybe yes, maybe no, but certainly not fully. Because I can see now what I was more attached to was how I thought each of us should be, how I thought our marriage should be, as opposed to really being with how it was and working with how it was instead of over and over and over again trying to have it match the picture. And yeah, I need to let go of all of that, celebrate what we had, and seize this as a learning experience to hopefully never again miss the opportunity to really get to know who a person is as opposed to who I think they should be. And that's one of the gifts of this community, that we have real conversations, that we are vulnerable, we express what's real really going on without all the mask and all of the pretense. And so I'm present to the bittersweetness now of this day, and just wanting to set Vince and myself free on another whole level. Um, Unfortunately, I have the opportunity now to get to know him newly as a friend after a whole lot of healing work. And so I'm grateful that this conversation has presenced all of that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I love when you speak, Dr. Kim. I just,
I
I
do
don't know
too.
what it's like she reaches in and pulls my soul out.
She's like, come here, let me hug your soul. That's what she does. She goes and hugs your soul and loves you to
I
your
love your
very core.
face. I love, like, I literally hold my breath to hear what she had to say. I do. I
Thank
just
you.
adore you. And I think that, like, you just have such a way with the way you say it. It's just like a light bulb. And now every time she speaks, I'm like, what is she going to say that's going to go click?
Thank you.
So, Melissa, did you have anything, any questions or any comments or?
No, it's just everything that is being talked about is making sense, and I can bring that into what I'm going through right now, and it's shedding light on a lot of stuff.
Awesome. Perfect. That's what we're here for. It's the community to support each person exactly where they're at. And I'm glad you showed up today, because today was a really great session. I had no idea really where it was going to end up. I just knew the topic of where it was, and I had a couple bullets in regards to looking at what was happening and, you know, what we deal with when we deal with loss or deal with pain, you know, or deal with, you know, letting go of something that was so hard to let go of, our emotions and our feelings and everything else in between. The whole thought is letting go of something we tend to try and hold on to, and it's equivalent to being in charge and control of something. It's an illusion, and we bought into an illusion. And when we can finally let go and actually see life through the actual lens, it literally sets us all free. And it's such a beautiful place for all of us to be. We all deserve it. We're all worthy of it. Each and every single one of us. We have a right to actually feel all of it and none of it. Because when we have all of it, we've experienced it. And when we have no more of it, that means that we've removed the vibrational storyline that was no longer serving. And we've been set free to live our highest good. I can't wait to watch him grow. I can't wait for him to come report to me, guess what I learned? Because it's going to be just as exciting as it was when he took his first steps, or when the first tooth broke through, or the realization that instructions were actually instructions instead of distractions, because that's what he called it. And, you know, when you watch all of those moments and you remember all of those wonderful moments that they were growing and developing, now you get to watch them do it again in a whole new world, in a whole new opportunity. And you get to watch them finally stand up and believe in themselves, build their confidence, and literally walk out the life that they deserve to have the right to live, because you're no longer jamming up the pathways, trying to tell them how to do it. You know, you can't do it. It's theirs. Each one of us have a right to our own life. So I want to take anybody through the fountain real quick if you have time. If not, that's okay too. I want to take everyone and anything you know that you've been just grappling with, holding on to, wishing that you could control, tending to. Why don't today we allow those moments, all those things that we've been afraid to let go? Why don't we free ourselves first so that we can free someone else? So I want you to think about your stories that you're holding on to that is keeping you locked in, keeping you set up for your own distress, the fear of that next phone call and what could be coming, the next conversation line that doesn't set up the way that it's supposed to, the way that we thought it was supposed to, the expectations that we hold over others that isn't rightfully us, our space to hold. And I actually allow ourselves to let it all go. So we'll go ahead and close your eyes. Taking a deep breath. Exhale out your mouth. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. And I want you to close your eyes and see yourself standing before the garden. As you're entering in, you can see all the lush grass and the trees and the plants and the flowers and the birds and the bees, as everything is just so perfect in this garden, and you feel so serene and so safe. You see a fountain before you and it begins to develop, and you can see the steps, the ring, in this massive fountain before you. And from the top, it's overflowing out with the white cascading light effect of water coming down. And it's so inviting. You feel the tug in your soul that it's time to be healed and restored of all those things that you need to let go of. So you rush up and mentally into this fountain. As you begin to feel yourself lowering your body into the fountain, you feel the water sensations coming around your feet, up across your calves, up into your knees. As it hits your knees, you feel the pulling to move forward. As you step forward into the fountain cascading down, and it's coming down and around you, as it's flowing down and touching the top of your head, your crown opens, allowing us to pour into the third eye, illuminating all these storylines and all of the stuff that's going on inside your mind that has kept you locked up, bound up, and kept up forever because you wouldn't let go. Let's go ahead and release those things today. Take our hands off of it and allow it to be washed away. Bringing that down through our mind and into our throat, where we've spoken all the storylines and repeating the words that others have said that have kept them locked in, as well as ourselves, into the storylines that were no longer serving them or us. And we release them and let them go. Bringing it down your shoulders, into your arms, into your fingertips, and back up into your heart. Gathering anything from every fiber and every being in your body. Removing the pain, the hurt, the loss, removing the confusion, the frustration, the irritations, removing the stories, and allowing each individual to be soul sovereign and free indeed, to be the best them that they can be, as well as ourselves. Down into the solar plex, into the sacral, into the very root of who we are. As we wash and wash and wash out the storyline and actually begin to release the things that we are afraid to let go of. When we let go, it allows us to let in what's rightfully ours. Down through the calves, down through the thighs, into the calves, and into the feet. Pushing the storylines all the way out into the ground as far away from us as possible. Pushing, pushing, pushing into the center of Mother Gaia, into the earth, as far away from us as possible. Bringing it back up, just the light and the water for the healing and the restoration to come back up and through. Bringing it into our feet, into our calves, into our thighs, into the root of our very being, restoring us to the foundations of creation, restoring us in our sacral, so that we can be in perfect alignment as above, as it is below, as everything in between, on earth as it is in heaven, and all in between. Bringing that up into the sacral, into the solar plex, into the heart, so that it can be deposited with true love for all around us. Up into our throats so we can speak life again, into ourselves and others around us, and into our minds so we can be clear and free from those things that are no longer serving us, but setting us up to be able to live for our highest good and to serve those around us the same way. And then released back up into the heavenlies. And be thankful today because you received your healing. When you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. Make sure you guys drink lots of water today. Refresh your soul. Because we did a huge work today.
So beautiful, darling. So beautiful. Thank you. And thank you, Kathy and Melissa, as well.
And you get to go celebrate
honor.
at a wedding.
I do.
Party like it's 1999, girl.
Till next time.
Till next time. Bye for now.
Have fun.
All right. I gotta head off. I gotta go get ready for work and go run off to my job now.
Love you, Darla. Thank you.
Much love, Kathy.
Thank you.
Melissa. You're welcome, Melissa. Bye for now.
Bye.